Hi, welcome back to Heuristics application. We are coming to the last few lessons on tabulation. So for today's lesson, we are going to look into how to use tabulation for percentage problems. And when you use this method, do take note that your questions must be before and after. All right, if it's before and after, then you can use the method. Otherwise, you will have to draw model or think of other ways. Okay, so let's look at let's look at number one. Now, John needed to use red beads and white beads for his Minecraft projects. He had 440 fewer red beads than white beads. When he increased the white beads by 25% and he decreased the red beads by 40%, he found that he had 2585 red and white beads altogether, which is the total left. So how many red beads did he have in the end? Now, this is a before and after problem. So, like what I mentioned, you need to think about what is unchanged. Is the total unchanged? Is one group unchanged? Difference unchanged? Or everything changed? So in this problem, everything has changed, right? The white beads has increased, the red beads has decreased, total has changed, all right? So what do we do? Then you draw your table. Okay, now if it's a percentage problem, alright, if it's a percentage problem, how do you make the problem simpler? You can change the percentage into fractions. Okay, but first thing, you need to label rates and the white, total, and your BCA. Alright, your before, change, after. Alright, let's look at the first sentence and let's try to fill in the boxes. So this method is actually very easy to use. You just have to look at sentence by sentence, like how you draw the model sentence by sentence. So you look at the first sentence and there's nothing you can put inside. So we jump to the next sentence. He had 440 fewer red than white. Now, the color or the group that is the smaller group, you call one unit. So you have the red and the white, which is the smaller group. The red is smaller group, so you call it 1 unit. And the white will be 1 unit and 440, right? So that's how you fill in the boxes. If you see fewer than, more than, or so on. All right, now, then you can find the total, which is 2 units and 440. And that's how you fill in the second sentence. All right, the second sentence is done. So now you go to the next sentence. When he increased the white beads by 25%, you can change the percentage into fraction, which is 1/4, right? And then it becomes simpler, right? Because some students or some of you, you are still not quite clear about percentage. It is a very confusing topic. Then what do? Change it into fraction and then use the fraction to draw your model or to put inside the box. So how do we put into the box? Now, he increased the white beads by 1/4. So if you look at the white, the boxes, the white, right, the boxes that belong to the white, there is something in the box already, which is your 1 unit and 440. So when there's something in the box on top, you can do what? You can put the whole fraction inside the box. So the white beads increased by 1/4, which is plus 1/4. And then there's a family of fractions. If there's a 1/4, there must be 1 whole at first. And then there must be 5/4 in the end. So that is your family. Okay? Alright, keep reading. And then he decreased the red beads by 40%. I can change it into a fraction, which is 2/5. So again, there's something in the box for the red. The red has 1 unit at first. So I can put the whole fraction, which is decreased by 2/5 or minus 2/5 into the box. And then there's a family again, a different family. You have a 1 whole at first, which is all the red at first. And then you minus 2/5 and you will get 3/5. So you have another family. Alright, so be very careful that you don't add these two families together, right? Because there are two different families, so you don't add their fractions together. Alright, so keep reading. He found that he had 2585 red and whites altogether left. So you put 2585, which is the total in the end, the important number. So how many red beads did he have in the end? So your question mark is over here, and you are done. So that's how your table works, right? You just have to fill in the numbers in the right places. Okay, now you look at the table. The table has become your question. So you look at the table, and what do you look out for? Number 1, same box. Look out for same box. So can you see that you have 5/5, which is in the same box as 1 unit? So can you find what is 1/5? So 1 divided by 5, or 1 unit divided by 5, that will give you 0.2 units. Alright, and there was a decrease of 2/5 in the rate bits, or the rate bits decreased by 2/5. So how many is 2/5? Then you look at 1/5, which is 0.2 unit, then you times 2, and you will get 0.4 units. So the rate bits decrease, so you minus, right? Because decrease means you minus 0.4 units. So how many left? How many rate bits are left? That will give you 1 unit, and you minus 0.4 unit, and of course you get 0.6 units left. Okay, well, if you don't know how to get 0.6 unit, right, in this manner, right, the table, like what Mr. has told you, the table can flow down, and that's how you get 0.6 unit. But let's say you don't know, or you forgot, then is there another way to get 0.6 unit? Yes, there is. You want to find 3/5, which is how many unit? So you go back to 1/5, that is 0.2 unit, and you times 3, and you get 0.6 units. Okay, so that's also another way to get your 0.6. Okay, now let's look at another same box. Can you see 4/4 is in the same box as 1 unit plus 440, and you do the same thing. You find 1/4. So what is 1/4? So 1/4 will be 1 unit divided by 4. So you can either write as a fraction, or you can write as a decimal. But because you already have decimal in your boxes already, so you have to be consistent. So you make sure that everything is all decimal as well. So you take 1 divided by 4, 0.25 unit. 440 divided by 4, that will be 110, and the plus is still in the middle. Alright, so there was an increase of 1/4, there was an increase, a 1/4 increase in the white bits. So whatever you have found, you put it into the boxes. So the white increase, so you plus what? Plus 0.25 unit, and plus again 110, because your 1/4 is 0.25 unit and 110. Okay, and then now can you find the white bits in the end? Yes, I can. You flow with the table, you go down this way, and can you see that your 1 unit plus 0.25, that will be 1.25 units. Okay, let me just change color. So 1.25 unit, and then your 440 plus 110, that will be 550. Okay, so you may want to take some time to think about how to get this number in the box. So you go down, your table go down. So your 1 unit, look at 1 unit. Okay, let me use a blue pen, or blue highlighter. 1 unit plus 0.25 unit, you get 1.25 units, right? 440 plus 110 gives you 550. That's how you get the number in the box. Okay, now the table can flow down. Alright, the table can also flow up, means you work backwards. Okay, can also go back. Alright, how else can the table flow? The table can also go this way. See, you can find the red plus the white, that gives you the total in the end. So let's write out a statement. So once you understand how the table flows, you can use the table to create your unit statements. So the rate has how many in the end? So you have 0.6 unit, which is the rate in the end, plus the white, which is 1.25 units, plus 550, and that gives you total, right? Total is 2585. All right, that's your total. All right, now what do you do? Right, don't worry, just add the units together. All right, and using your calculator, so you have 0.6 plus 1.25, you get 1.85 units plus 550, and that gives you the total. Okay, all right, so you just do step by step, right? It's not very hard. All right, maybe at first you may find it a bit daunting, but as you keep doing this, it becomes easier the next time. All right, then what else do you do next? Then you find how many is 1.85 units, which is equal to what? The total, which is 2585, and you minus. Okay, minus 550. So you do step by step. Okay, so what do you get? So 2585 minus 550, you get 2035. Okay, all right, now the next step is very easy. You just get 1 unit. And how do you get 1 unit? You always divide. So what do you divide? You take 2035 and you divide by whatever number you see, whatever units you see. So 2035, all right, and you just have to divide by whatever. Is it 3 unit, 20 unit, 1/4 unit, or whatever number you see, you just divide by the number. And you get how many is 1 unit. Alright, so you're using calculator to do it, so you should not worry too much because calculator will help you to work out the harder numbers. So let's work out 2035 and divide by 1.85, and you will get 1100. So it's a very nice number. What happens if you get a long number, a long decimal, and you feel something weird? Then you should check, right? You should go back to the beginning and check for mistakes. But otherwise, if you get a nice number, usually, right, not all the time, usually you're on the right track. Okay, means you are doing correctly usually. Okay, so once you get 1 unit already, you are almost going to solve. So you go and look for the question mark in the table. So where is your question mark in the table? Can you see the question mark here, which is to find how many rate in the end, and that is 0.6 units. So how do you find how many is 0.6 unit? Then you just go back to 1 unit. 1 unit is 1100, and you multiply. Right? To find 1 unit, you always divide. To find how many units, right? 0.6 unit is how many? What do? You times. So you take 1100 and you multiply by 0.6. And what do you get? You will get 660 rate bits in the end. Alright, so that's how you use a table, right, to solve this problem, which is about 4 marks or maybe 5 marks. So it's not very hard to use a table. Alright, problem may be hard, or you may be given any kind of problem that is a before and after problem, but the method is always the same. If you can use the method effectively, you can solve any before and after problems. Alright, so now let's go to another problem, another example. Okay, we are now going to look at practice problem 2, and alright, let's continue to see how to use a table to solve the problem. Now, a shop was selling t-shirts and collar shirts. 40% of the shirts were t-shirts and the rest were collar shirts. 10% of the t-shirts were sold and the collar shirts increased by 15% when the shop brought in more stock. As a result, the total number of shirts increased by 95. So how many t-shirts were sold? Alright, so again, this is a before and after problem, so everything is changed. So we're going to use a table, right, and let's revise how to use a table to work out the answers. Alright, so you have your BCA, okay, before, change, after, then you have your t-shirts, and then you have the collar shirts, and then you have the total. Okay, alright, so what do we do after that? After this, now you look at sentence by sentence and fill in the boxes. So look at the first sentence. There's nothing we can do. There's nothing to fill in. Now, 40% of the shirts were t-shirts. So if you don't like percentage, or you find that the problem is very challenging because there are percentage, fractions, and all kinds of things inside, you can change the percentage into fraction. That will be 2/5. Okay, and then how do you put into the boxes? Now you have to learn how to interpret the fractions in P4, right? In P4, what do? We learn to break out the fractions, and that's how do we interpret? The shirts has a total of 5, right? 5 boxes. The denominator is the total parts of the shirts. And how many parts are t-shirts? 3 or 2. 2 boxes are t-shirts. So when you draw your model, you are going to draw a rectangle, which is all the shirts, and that is 5 boxes. If you are doing model drawing, right, you draw a rectangle kind of 5 boxes, and 2 boxes are t-shirts. So that's how you recognize the fraction, how you break out the fraction. And you do the same thing when you fill in the boxes. Same thing. So the shirts altogether has 5 units, and 2 units are t-shirts, and 3 units are collar shirts. Alright, that is also the same, like model drawing. Alright, then you keep reading. 10% of the t-shirts were sold. So again, there's a percentage there. So I can change it into 1/10. So 1/10 of the t-shirts were sold. So can I put the fraction into the box? Yes, I can. There is something in the box on top already. So I can put 1/10, which is minus 1/10. Why minus? Because you sold the t-shirts, so become lesser. So you minus 1/10. And when you put the fraction into the box, there is a family of fractions. Yeah, 1 whole at first. Your 10/10 is 1 whole. 1 whole has a meaning. It means that at first, right? At first is 1 whole, or you call it 100%. right? So your 100%, 1 whole refers to at first. And then you minus 1 over 10, and you get 9 over 10. So you have a family of fractions. All right, and then you go to the next sentence. The collar shirts increase by 15%. So again, there is a percentage there. So I will change it into fraction, which is simplest form, 3 over 20. So the collar shirt increased by 3 over 20. So can I put the fraction into the box also? Yes, I can, because there's something in the box on top for the collar shirts. Now, why? Why am I able to put the fractions into the boxes? All right, you will see the reason why. So the collar shirts increase by 3 over 20. And every time you put a fraction into the box, there is a family of fractions. So there's one whole, which is 20 over 20, and now 23 over 20 in the end for the collar shirts. All right, keep reading. All right, later I will tell you why you can put the fractions into the box. All right, when the shop brought in more stock, right? So the collar shirts increased by 3 over 20 when the shop brought in more stock. As a result, the total number of shirts increased by 95. So where do you put 95? You have to put total change. So the total shirts increased by 95. So there's a plus there, right? Because increase means you have to plus. Okay, how many t-shirts were sold? So your question mark in the table. So where do you put the question mark? Over here. How many t-shirts were sold? And your table is done. All right, that's how you fill in the boxes without much thinking, actually. Okay, now, once you have filled in the boxes already, what do? Number one, look for same box, and that is the reason why you put the fractions into the box. So when can you put the fractions into the box? When there's something in the boxes already, then you can put the fraction into the box so that you can do something like this. Same box means the fraction, which is 10 over 10, is the same or equal to 2 units. All right, so if there's nothing in the box, you don't want to put the fraction inside because there's nothing to equal to, right? So you need to have something in the box first before you can put the fraction into the box. Okay, hope it's not too confusing. Okay, so 10 over 10 is 2 units, then you find 1 over 10. So 1 over 10 will be 2 units divided by 10, and you get 0.2 units. All right, so can you find how many t-shirts were sold, which is 1 over 10? So you minus 0.2 units, all right? And how many t-shirts were left? That will be 1.8 units. And how do you get 1.8 units? All right, for those who are unsure, the table can flow down. Remember, 2 units go down, minus 0.2, you get 1.8. All right, next step. Do you see anything else in the same box also? Yeah, there is a 20 over 20, which is in the same box as 3 units. So your 1 over 20 is 3 divided by 20. So 3 divided by 20, you will get 0.15 units. Okay, so how many collar shirts did the shop buy? The collar shirts increased by 3 over 20, which is how many units? So you need to find what is 3 over 20. You look at 0.15 units, which is 1 over 20, and you times 3. And you will get 0.45 units. All right, and then you fill in the box. So the collar shirt increased by 0.45 units. Okay, and the table go down, right? The table can flow down again, right? So how many collar shirts in the end? That will be 3 units plus 0.45 units, and you will get 3.45 units. Okay, so is it hard? I don't think so. All right, maybe at first it may look hard for some of you because you are not used to the table, right? But as you keep using, you find that it's actually very easy to use, right? You don't really think so much on how to solve. All right, what else can we do? Now, you look at the table and you have looked for empty boxes. I mean, you have looked at the same box. Now, the next thing to look at is empty box. So can you see an empty box at the bottom right-hand corner? So are you able to fill in the empty box? So you flow, right, from left to right. So you take the t-shirts plus the collar shirts. That will give you the total in the end. So let's write down how many t-shirts in the end, 1.8 units. And then how many collar shirts in the end? That will be 3.45 units. And that will give you total how many in the end. So 1.8 plus 3.45, you will get 5.25 units in the end. So that is the total, right? Total shirts in the end. Okay? All right, then you study a table. All right, look at a table and you study. All right, what else can you find? Can you see how many units of shirts are increased, or you increase how many, what is the increase in the t-shirt or in the shirts? All right, you look at 95 plus 95, how many units increase? Right, increase by how many units? You look at 5.25 and you minus 5 units. So the total shirts in the end is 5.25 units, and you minus the total shirts at first, which is 5 units, and you will get 0.25 units increase. So there's an increase of 0.25 units. Understand? All right. So how do you get 0.25 units? You take the total in the end and you minus the total at first, and you get the increase. Okay. All right. Or there's there's another way, but which I won't go through because it looks harder. So you take the total in the end minus total at first, you get the increase, which is 0.25 units, and that is in the same box as 95. So 0.25 unit is in the same box as 95. So can you find 1 unit? So you take 95 and you always divide. So to get 1 unit, what do you do? To get 1 unit, you always divide. So you take 95 and you divide by 0.25. And what do you get? So 95 divided by 0.25, you will get 380. So your 1 unit is 380. And then you look at the question mark. So what did the question mark says? Or what did the question says? How many t-shirts were sold? So you can see that there were 0.2 units t-shirts were sold. So can you find how many 0.2 units? Yes, I can. So you write down 0.2 units is equal to how many? If 1 unit is 380, then you just take 380 and you multiply by 0.2. Alright, every time you want to find how many is so many units, alright, 0.2 units how many, 4 units how many, 20 units how many, you always multiply times. Right, if you want to find 1 unit, then what do? You always divide, right, divide to get 1 unit. So your 380 times 0.2, and your answer will be 76 t-shirts were sold. And that's how you solve the problem. Alright, and that is a 5-mark question, I think. Alright, so that is how you use a table to solve before and after problems. And it's not about getting the answer, but it's about the method. It's all about the heuristics. So if you learn your heuristics, you know your heuristics, then you look at any problem and you think, what kind of heuristics can I use? Do I draw a model? Do I use a table? Or do I use assumption? Do I use guess and check? So you got to think about all these methods, because if you can think about all these methods, it makes the solving easier and less stressful. All right. Okay, so we come to the end of our table lesson, before and after table lesson. So in the next coming lesson, we will look at something else, and so stay tuned for the next Thursday lesson or next Saturday lesson.